while a lot has been made this offseason about potential breakouts from Caleb Williams, Rome Odunze, Luther Burden, Colston Loveland, I want to talk about one of the wide receivers that has kind of gone unnoticed, especially with the talk of Kalif Raymond and Zavion Thomas. We're going to focus on Jahdae Walker today and why he could be one of the best kept secrets for the Chicago Bears, especially in that wide receiver 3 battle. And we're going to talk about why Kyle Monangai could prove himself to be a running back 1 this season and what he needs to do to truly break out. And we're going to talk about the rumors of the Bears making a trade for Jonathan Taylor as well. We'll talk about all that plus more right after this. What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go into this content for today, y'all. And so the wide receiver 3 is something that I'm highly interested in this season in the way that it's going to go for a few different reasons. I think one of the biggest reasons, of course, is we talked about Zavion Thomas, the speed that he's bringing there, the excitement that it seems like Ben Johnson also has out of Zavion Thomas. And then we brought in Kalif Raymond, right? The veteran who understands Ben Johnson's system, who's going to be a really good route runner and just knows how to execute it. But Jahdae Walker is the guy that's kind of in the middle that has become a little bit of a sleeper. And we know that he didn't do a lot last season, right? Statistically, there's not really much that will stand out the stat sheet of what Jahdae Walker did last year. He had an amazing play, and a play that is still etched in the minds of many Chicago Bears fans because of what he was able to do with that. But when you look at this season in totality for Jahdae Walker, he had 6 receptions, 87 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Average of 14.5 yards per reception, which are all solid numbers when you look at, on the 10 targets that he got, right? So 60% of the passes thrown to him, he caught and got 87 yards and 2 touchdowns out of it. That's really good production. But Jahdae Walker has a possibility here to truly make something dynamic with this wide receiver 3 battle, and something that I think you got to look at it, and you can't overlook Jahdae Walker into that, right? He is a candidate for it. Now, I've said before, I do expect Kalif Raymond to be named as the wide receiver 3 because you have to name somebody on the depth chart, right? But I do think it's going to be more of a bullpen there, meaning that you go out and grab the tool that you need for wherever that matchup is when it comes down to it, right? So I think when you have in regards to that, of course, when DJ Moore was traded, there are a lot of people that looked at Jahdae Walker immediately and what he's going to stand into, and it's fine, right? I think Jahdae is going to have a fine performance when it comes down to it, but I think the balance there is going to be really fun there. Kalif Raymond, Zavion Thomas, Jahdae Walker, these are all going to be guys that are going to get a different amount of kind of focus there depending on what's there, and Jahdae has just as big of an opportunity as anyone, right? Like, there's a case to be made that Jahdae Walker should be the wide receiver 3 here from the start. Training camp went incredibly well for him in regards to it, even though Zavion Thomas got a lot of really good of the conversation there. But we know that OTAs and stuff like that's made for the skill position players. It's made for those players to stand out, really, right? But Jahdae is going to have a time and an opportunity here. He has the frame to play it, right? 6'3", 200 pounds. A 4.4 speed when it comes down to it. So he's plenty, not Zavion Thomas fast, but again, we know that he's fast. When you look at the RAS score as well, 9.47, which stood out, which was huge there in regards to that. Jahdae's ability to make the catches that he can make, those acrobatic catches that come over the middle, things like that, it's going to make him a huge candidate to be one of Caleb Williams' favorite weapons. As an undrafted free agent, expectations are always low as a rookie, right? And as an undrafted free agent, he had to work himself up to even be like, hell, you saw the players that the Bears did draft, like Luther Burden, took a while to get into the rotation, right? He flashed a lot late last season. He made a huge play against the Packers. Like I said, that's the play that's going to be etched in a lot of Bears fans' mind because of where it came in at. But he has so much. He can go from just a fan favorite to somebody who's really putting in work for the Chicago Bears next season. And I do think that the wide receiver room is crowded, but it's crowded in a good way because you want all that depth. You want all that ability to throw out multiple looks, throw out different matchups. And Jahdae is one of the more versatile players in that. Not to say that other players aren't. I think Kalif Raymond, I wouldn't call Kalif Raymond as versatile as Jahdae Walker. And I don't mean that as a slight. He's just a more straightforward, consistent wide receiver. Zavion Thomas is the guy that's going to be using the run game, the special teams, the pass game. And if you get the ball in his hands, and especially if you get to the open field, it's going to be great. Jahdae, though, is just a little bit different. And that's what is really special about this wide receiver 3 room for the Bears, is that it's just so many different looks. And then when you add that to the wide receiver and tight ends overall, like Ben Johnson is going to have a plethora of different looks that he can throw at defenses and keep defenses on their heels. And somebody like Jahdae is able to come in there and take advantage of that. So don't overlook Jahdae, man. That's all I wanted to really say with this one. Do not overlook Jahdae Walker and the potential that he has to really break out this season, because I think a lot of people see it, but I don't think a lot of people really kind of step back and realize the difference, like at that size that he brings with the acrobatics that he brings, the agility that he brings to that position. And I do think he has the space where he can grow at, to not just talk about the positives. He can grow as a route runner. And I think that that's the thing that really can make the separation here. If between years 1 and year 2 and a better understanding of the offense, it comes with better route running from Jahdae, he's going to have a great opportunity here. And so this wide receiver 3 is going to be one of the more interesting positions to watch, because you have Luther Burden, you have Rome Odunze, you have Colston Loveland, who's also going to line up in the slot and as a wide receiver sometimes. You're going to go to the 12 and 13-man personnel. But that wide receiver 3 room, man, that's going to be the one where I think you're going to have a couple of games each season where it's Kalif, where it's Jahdae, where it's Zavion. All these guys are going to have different opportunities and different looks in the system, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I really think it's going to be a lot of fun. But moving on from that, I want to talk about the rumor that kind of took over Bears Nation yesterday, and that was when the Bears were predicted to make a trade for Jonathan Taylor during the season. Now, we've talked a lot about the Bears potentially making a trade for an edge, right? That's a position that everybody wants to talk about. I'm glad that finally people are starting to look at some other things. The ESPN's Ben Solak is the one that talked about it. He released 10 predictions for the upcoming season, and he had the Chicago Bears making a trade with the Indianapolis Colts to land Pro Bowl, a 3-time Pro Bowl running back in Jonathan Taylor. He did talk about how Jonathan Taylor is on the final year of his deal, which always opens up to somebody potentially being moved so the team can get some value back into that one. With the Colts, like kind of flirting with a full rebuild, it's also something that he pointed out to. They got money to Daniel Jones, Alec Pierce, right? And so at this point, they could be willing to move on from Jonathan Taylor. And he says this: if the Colts come out of the gate slow and consider an organizational change midseason, then Taylor surely would draw trade interest. His start in 2025 proved he still has the best running back in the league potential left in his legs, especially if his total touches are more carefully managed. A playoff-aspiring team that has viable change of pace backs but no dominant starter would love to grab Taylor for a 1-year rental. Should he perform well, the team could give him a 2-year pay-as-we-go extension that running backs often get with their third contract. So here's the thing. We know that the Bears have DeAndre Swift and Kyle Monangai. And that was a rushing attack that was towards the top of the league last year, and that's it, right? And I do think at the end of the day here, and we're going to talk a little bit about Kyle Monangai. I'm going to use this as a segue into Kyle Monangai talk. While DeAndre Swift had a very strong 2025 season, I do think that there's still a path to upgrade there. And I think the Bears are leaving that door open. They have not extended DeAndre Swift yet. This is going to be the last year of his career. And Kyle Monangai is a guy that I think that, he's a workhorse. And we're going to talk about Kyle Monangai and how he can kind of make the Chicago Bears rethink what they do with the running back one position for sure. But Jonathan Taylor, let's talk about who he is as a player. And the fact is, workhorse is the exact way to describe this guy. Last year, 323 carries, 1,585 yards, third most in the NFL, 18 touchdowns, first in the NFL, and he was 10th in yards per run at 4.9 in that. Thing that I love about Jonathan Taylor as well, he does bring that dual back kind of capability that Ben Johnson likes his running backs to have. He also had 378 yards receiving last year to go along with 2 touchdowns. 20 touchdowns from your running back, right? In a combination of almost of over 1,900 yards, almost 2,000 yards between the run game and the pass game. That's a weapon that Ben Johnson would absolutely love to have. Now, this is all speculative, right? And I want to be clear here. The Bears have other things and positions that they could need to focus on before they even get to the place of trying to, make a move for Jonathan Taylor. And running back could be the last thing on their mind. Not to say they may not address the next offseason when DeAndre Swift's departure and stuff like that, but the Bears may not, if they're going to make a midseason acquisition, there's definitely a case to be made that running back is not going to be the place where they should spend those assets or spend that money or, to trade and just wait to see what happens in free agency. So there's a great chance and a case to be made there, right? But one thing that we have seen is that Ryan Poles has been active at trade deadlines before. You look at the Montez Sweat move. He's done it before last year. It's kind of the first year he didn't do something like that, and it ended up working out for the Bears. But I think overall, like when you look at the combination of Kyle Monangai and DeAndre Swift, if that combination continues to be fruitful for the Bears this upcoming season like it was last year, I don't know if I necessarily see Ryan Poles going back to that drawing board and thinking that he needs to try to fix something that isn't a problem, right? But it is something that you're looking ahead on in regards to that. Like Taylor is somebody that shifts the momentum. He shifts the field. He shifts what your expectations is for sure, right? But the cost there is the thing that you have to ask yourself in that. If you're going to be making the trade for Jonathan Taylor, and then you're going to think about extending him while you still have positions possibly to look for in your edge, and you still got extensions coming up and stuff like that, the Bears could just very well look at it and say, that's not where and you got to also look at what you feel like you can get in the draft too. That's something you still have to look at. Now, Jonathan Taylor's contract and cap hit isn't ridiculous. He's a $15 million cap hit next season with a base salary of $11.9 million. So it's not like it's the exuberant money that you see where it's kind of wild and not able to put together a trade that makes sense. You can definitely put a trade together that makes sense for the Bears. But that money, right? That's the money. The money is the thing that you have to ask yourself for. And Ryan Poles, one thing he's been really good at is managing the money to make sure that he has room to add where he needs to add, right? And then I think if you look at the Christian McCaffrey trade as a blueprint as well, it kind of further paints that it would be a really large and sizable kind of investment that you're going to make in regards to that. Like, and that's the thing that you have to manage in regards to that one. But the side of that says that Ryan Poles has at least made a small move at the deadline just about every year since he's been here. About every year that he's been there. And so that's the thing that you have to look at, right? Like whether it was trading out a player like Khalil Herbert in 2024, landing Montez Sweat in 2023. We're not going to talk about what he did before that because this is a trade that kind of blows everybody's mind. But so the one thing that you can say though about Poles is that he is going to go into the trade deadline. He's going to go into the season still evaluating what he has here on the roster and therefore try to make that determination on where do you need to go with it? What needs to happen? What is this team missing that we feel like we need to get us over the top, right? And so we'll see, right? It's great speculation, but we're in that season right now where there's going to be a lot of speculative things for the Bears and for every team in the NFL. It's not Bears exclusive, and a lot of it's not going to actually amount to anything. A lot of it's just going to be talk from writers, from analysts that just are trying to come up and drum up with things in this dead part of the offseason, which it really is. This is a dead part of the offseason that is, until training camp opens up, it's kind of just, it's the wild, wild west out there, especially with some writers in regards to that one. But hey, let me know what you guys think down below. Do you think that the Bears, for a position that's not really looked at as a position of need right now, could the Bears make a sizable move in a trade for somebody like a Jonathan Taylor to bring into this team? And would you like him? Do you think that the talent is warranted regardless, that if you hear that Jonathan Taylor is available, the Bears should at least call to see what that trade and what it could look like for the Chicago Bears, to see if there's some interest there and the Bears can get in one of the best running backs in the league, to be 100% honest with you. He is still one of the best running backs in the NFL, and there's just no way you can take that away from him, but you don't need to be one of the best to have the best running back group, which leads me to my next thing. We've talked a lot about breakouts of players this year. I just talked about Jahdae Walker. We talked glowingly about Colston Loveland. We've even talked about Zavion Thomas. We talked about, Rome Odunze, Luther Burden, Caleb Williams so many times. Kyle Monangai is a player that I think definitely could break out next year, and I do think we got to do a better job at talking about Kyle Monangai. He finished the 2025 season with 783 rushing yards, 4.6 yards per carry, 5 rushing touchdowns, 18 carries, 164 rushing yards there, 0 fumbles, right? And that's despite starting only 1 regular season game. Kyle Monangai has shown himself to be a back that can simply put up production, and he has shown flashes of being a running back one. So I want to make the case and talk about what are some things that Kyle Monangai has shown to where he could be one of the players, if not the player, to break out really in this season. Number one is that he already has proven that he can handle volume. When you look at the thing when it comes down to one of the biggest questions that you can ask for a young running back is what happens when the offense actually has to lean on them? And Kyle Monangai answered that. When you look at week 9 with DeAndre Swift out, Kyle Monangai had 26 carries, 176 yards, 3 catches for 22 yards as well. That's 198 total yards in his first real opportunity to start in the NFL. His 176 yards rushing in that game were one of the best Bears rookie running back performances in the history of this franchise. And when you look at the running backs that we've had, it was amazing, right? And I think that matters the most because I think when you look at right now, 7 to 10 touch rolls, they fade when they have to carry the offense. And that's what Kyle Monangai has been so far. A guy that has the 7 to 10 touches kind of rule with him. And Kyle Monangai showed that his workhorse nature can lead you to some good things, right? I also think his running style fits the type of running style when you think about Chicago Bears running backs, right? And Ben Johnson as well. Ben Johnson has become known for the more physical and more balanced running backs. Kyle Monangai fits that because he's a north to south runner, and he doesn't need everything to be block form just to be useful in getting yards. And it's hard. Like we've seen it over the course of the season. When we were live calling games, getting Kyle Monangai down on the first contact becomes very difficult, right? And so because of that, that's another reason why he could become an every down running back. He also has the ball security when it comes down to it, which is a pause nonetheless, but you know what I'm talking about. 0 fumbles and 0 fumbles lost as a rookie is huge. That's not something you see every single day, right? And so coaches are going to live with a back that is also explosive and also doesn't turn the ball over. He continues to do that in year 2. There's a lot of reason to believe he can do that. And then I think one thing that also stands out and that you can always measure a young player against, he has performed best against the better teams in the league. His performance against the Philadelphia Eagles, for example, was an amazing statement in regards to that one, right? When the Bears won on Black Friday, Kyle Monangai had 22 carries for 130 yards and a touchdown. Him and DeAndre Swift combined for 255 yards into that one, and we outrushed the Philadelphia Eagles 281 yards to 87 in that game. That game proved to me that his production doesn't just come against bad teams. He's able to produce against real teams. And I also think the Bears' offensive line, even though I just talked about how the Bears, he's not determined with the offensive line doing all the blocking for him to be productive. But then when you also have the offensive line that does run block like the Bears' offensive line does, it gives him a chance to be even more explosive than what he does. With Caleb's mobility, Ben Johnson's sequencing and how he sets up the plays and the play structure, Kyle Monangai is going to continue to get really good looks in favorable opportunities and situations. And so if the Bears continue to be one of the best offensive lines in football, especially in the NFC North, he doesn't need everything to be creative for him to be productive, but having an offensive line that also creates for him is going to be great. But I think there are some things that he's going to have to prove to show that he can be a running back one. And even if he doesn't, we'll talk about the worst case. Worst case is that DeAndre Swift is still going to be a 10 to 12 touch guy for you. But I think overall, like the explosiveness is there. He's shown enough that he can create 15 to 25 yards and scares defenses on those big drives. The passing down value he brings as well. He's improved as a wide receiver. He is a dual threat guy there. He's also a solid pass protector as well. And so if he's going to be a running back one, he has to continue to do that. The durability with volume. This is a big thing for people in the NFL. As the volume goes up and your touches goes up, do you stay durable over the course of the season, or do you start missing some games or take some time off in regards to that? And then he's going to have to continue to separate himself from DeAndre Swift, right? DeAndre Swift, we've seen what he's done, especially when the Bears improved their offensive line. Kyle Monangai is still going to split those touches, no doubt, but he's going to have to continue to kind of separate himself into what he does in production from what DeAndre Swift does in production. And I think in regards to this, like the best case scenario, like I said, is that Kyle Monangai shows that he can be a tone-setting running back one in that. Like this is a guy that doesn't just take the carries and that because of injury or DeAndre Swift being out, that you start seeing that balance in him and how many snaps he's out there versus DeAndre Swift start to change over the course of the season. If you start seeing that, then yeah, I think there's certain signs that Kyle Monangai can be a running back one. And like I said, I think at the end of it, the worst scenario for Kyle Monangai, based off what we've seen right now, is he becomes a part of your running back rotation. He's a dual threat running back that's in a double-headed monster scenario, which isn't bad. Like that's still not a thing that's a knock on him or his career. It's kind of where the NFL is right now. You want multiple running backs, right? But the question is can he be the running back that you trust as the running back one? Kyle Monangai's path to running back one is real. And I think that it is an opportunity for that. Keep the ball secure, win early in downs, continue being that guy that's hard to take down, continue being a dual threat, and we could see Kyle Monangai very much so be the player that we talked about, him breaking out in 2025, right along with the Colson Lovelands and Luther Burtons and stuff like that. And we'll see. And I don't know if that does enough to say that the Bears don't need to make another acquisition at running back in the offseason. We'll see what happens there. But don't overlook Kyle Monangai. That's all I really want to say and get in this. Do not overlook Kyle Monangai and what he can turn into this year. But that's going to do it for today, man. I appreciate you guys for tuning in. Make sure you guys sound off in the comment section down below how you feel about all of this. Jahdae Walker potentially breaking out, the Jonathan Taylor trade rumors, Kyle Monangai proving himself potentially in year 2 to be a running back 1. Make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel as well, hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode or an upload. You can follow us at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, ChicagoBearsCentral@gmail.com. And lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the #1 spot for everything Chicago Bears related. But that is thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, but Bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.